All right, now that we got some charge back into our camera here, I think we'll have to switch to a different camera. We can look at see where we left off. We were finishing this guy up here. As you can see, the glue has dried. I'm gonna have to go back through and add a little bit more glue to where there's some gaps both ends here. And then if you look at our fins, these dried nicely during the break, so to speak. But we'll add some more glue along these edges here to strengthen those up, so when this thing comes crashing down to the earth, it will survive its sudden stop. Now, the glue I put down is slowly gone away. Not have much left, so I'm going to add some more glue, different spot, just a little bit more. We'll let that. Very good. Let that start getting tacky. We'll add a little bit of glue now to the engine out here. It's not as straight as I wanted, but it will suffice. So need that glue to get nice and tacky before we attach our fins to the other body tube. Just like that. And then same thing on this side right here. The goal is to seal that seam with glue. So I'm stamping this glue down into that crevasse right there to really force that glue down in there, so it will form a nice bond between that ring and the engine tube. Just a little bit more. Okay. Alright, now I think there's some spaces on this side here we gotta fill up. It wasn't much, just a little bit. I think that side is all right. Yeah, it's appropriate. Okay. Set that down. And this one here. That will do. Okay. So now we need to take a step back. I'm going to look at sticking this in the glue. We're going to go back to this step here. We'll put the fins on. Now we're going to put the first engine mount inside the first stage, and then we're going to make our mark on the coupler, and then we're going to put the coupler into the first stage. So our first stage will be finished. We'll go and do that now. Then we'll come back down and we'll measure out the distances, and we'll glue in there. So when we push this guy in, we'll run the appropriate distance. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so remember, this line back here is the back, and so when we put our engine mount in, we want to make sure that the back ring, right, that's where the engine is going to be going in this direction here. It's going to buttress up against this guy here, so we're going to insert it like this. I like to give it a little twist as I put it in, so go in as it needs to. And the only thing I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of testing the waters to see if I need to sand down these edges anymore, and how difficult it's going to be to insert, because knowing how hard it's going to be to put this guy in there will let me know what problems I'm going to run into when I try to put the glue in, and when this guy gets in with the glue, because the last thing we want is this thing to get glued in at a wrong angle. So okay, So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put in glue. You can kind of see the distance there, right? This thing's going to go in until this is flush with this guy here. So I'm going to apply glue to about where that got edge is right there. So when I push this in, it will push through that edge. And I'm also going to apply glue on this inside edge here. So when I push this guy in, that glue will be pushed against that edge as well. And I'll apply the glue on this end here after I've pushed it in, so I don't get glue all over the place in this thing. I'm trying to avoid that because you only have a little bit of surface actually hitting glue, and with that friction, it has a tendency to dry the glue a lot faster. So I'm going to measure out and see what's that distance right there. Where's my pencil? There it is. So I know about this distance right there. So if I put glue on here and I stick it into about that distance, that should be the appropriate distance that I need to put glue in on this back side to help seal in this back edge. And then we'll put glue right on the front edge. Come on, there we go. Yeah. Tight fit. If it's tight for you, you can take some sandpaper and along this inside edge, doesn't take much, kind of help open this up a little bit, so when you put it in, it has a little bit more clearance. There we go. Doesn't take a whole lot. We'll see how that fares. So, get my glue. Now, this is the back end, this is the front end. I'm going to put the first ring of glue in on from the front end like this up to that line. So, when I put my engine mount in, it will run through that glue to its final resting place, and it will sit nicely. Just like that. And that's all the glue I'm going to need right in there. It doesn't take much. Because as you push this body tube in, the engine mount in, it's going to smear just like we want it to. So I'll twist, and I see how that went a little bit easier that time. And if we look in here, we can see it's not quite there yet, but we're still halfway out. Now I'm going to take, and this is where it gets a little tricky, you want to finesse this. Take this guy and I'm going to smear the glue around this inside edge here. So as this rest of this body tube comes in, engine mount comes in, it will smear that glue all around that edge that we need it to. So I'll take this guy here, and all I'm just doing is just kind of dripping it onto that edge right there. It's okay if it runs into the body tube. We want as much coverage as possible. So I'm just a little bit of a liberal application here. And this is where the more doesn't necessarily hurt you. Okay, so we got the glue in there. You can kind of see how it's along that edge, right? We got that glue in there. I'm just going to take this guy and I'm just going to push until it gets to the edge. So nice, tight edge right there. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and just little taps, not much, because I don't want to bend to all the cardboard. But see now how that glue got really smeared down in there. I'm just going to take this guy, just going to push lightly until it is even, just like that. And how do I know it's even? I'll take something straight, like say this pencil, and I can apply it on top, and if it's flush, it'll be just like that. If it's not flush, I can push down and it will make it flush. But see, now if you look in there, you can see that glue is kind of built up around that edge. And I got one little area that I want a little bit more glue. So I'm just going to take my applicator, I'm going to put it down in that area, and I'm just going to stamp it down. That's it. That's all I need, just like that. Okay. Now, I'm also going to apply some more glue along this inside edge right here, the same way that I always do. Get some and just dab it down in there, just like that. All I'm doing is just reinforcing these seams there, so it's a nice tight seal, and when the ejection charge goes off, I don't have to worry about any kind of blowback coming back through my engine space. And all the force is focused right where it needs to be, which is igniting that second stage and blowing off the first stage. So the second stage fires and doesn't catch anything else on fire. Just like this. And I'm not worried about getting glue on there anymore because I've got what I want in there. See that filmed gold? Well, that's how you know that the glue is working. Just like this here. Nice even application. And that's it. Now, see, I got a lot of extra glue in there. That's extra weight. That's all right. So I'd rather have a little extra weight and this thing fly nice and straight and not explode, blow up, fall apart, than have a little less weight and then it just kind of melts in midair. So I'm also going to go ahead and apply my fillets. One of the ways you can do that is if you have your glue bottle, you can apply directly to it like this. Yeah, there it is. Just like that right there. And that will be enough. Might even be a little too much, but that's all right. Gravity will tell you if it was too much. Okay. And then I'm going to just set it down, let it do its thing. And its thing is dry. Just let it dry now. As you can see, it's already starting to develop some teardrops along the bottom edge. You can, as soon as those start developing, you can flip it over and let the glue run back the other direction. Or you can just let them drip all the way down, and then you can remove them later. Or leave them on there, your choice. It's up to you. But like I said, it's a little extra weight. Not too terribly much. So we'll do that, and then we'll get on to the next part. So we need to add this guy to it. So I'm going to measure out that 5/16. Where we go? Up here. 5/8, excuse me, 16 millimeters. So 16 millimeters, 15, 16, right there. So put that guy in, put my pencil in. You can see the pencil's kind of touching right there. And all I'm just going to do is just turn, and you get a nice straight line. Well, somewhat straight. But that 5/16 is that side right there. Okay, that line basically tells you that that's I'm sorry, this side right here is the 5/16. Yeah, or the 16 millimeters. Yeah, look at that, measured wrong. 16. So we'll do it again. There we go. So yeah, see, it's how it's more even. It's that second line right there. So what we'll do is we'll add glue to this inside. If we look, see, you get those teardrops forming. That guy's running. Look at that one. If it starts running on you like that, just get your stick and just scrape it off. Don't be afraid to get glue on your fingers, so you can just rub it off right there. Okay, So this guy is going to go on that back end right there. We're going to add a little bit of glue around this interior seam, and then push them in and let them dry. That's it, just like that. So now when I take him, I'm going to push him up to that second line right there. Boom. Right up to the line. Okay, now got to let them dry. Our fun friend here, which we still need to apply the green ring into that back end down there. Question is, how deep does it need to go? So this tube is, if you look, the same length as the other tube, right? But we're going to push it up to that line, and that line is 10 millimeters. So we know that this guy here, that inside edge, is going to be at the 10 millimeter point from this back end here, right? So 10 millimeters out, 10 millimeters in. So I know this guy here is going to be 10 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put glue at about 15 millimeters. I'm going to stick the glue on this back side. So when I push this guy through, he'll go through the glue, and then he'll stop the 10 millimeter line with a nice thing of glue around that outside edge that we need. So measure centimeters. The millimeters are in the middle, so 115 millimeters would be 1.5 centimeters. So I know that I need to take it to this line right here. So we'll say right about there. Good enough. And then get my glue. Just like that. Come back here, you. So it's off that back edge, right? And I'm just going to take them and just smear it all in there. Doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to work. Alright, just like that. So now I'm going to take this guy from the front, alright? Put it in here. Okay. Grab my spacer here, and I'll push. And you'll feel resistance when you start hitting that glue. So just keep pushing, nice, steady, all the way through. Just like that, right to that line. Now if you look on the back side, all that glue that we put in there, that we spread in there, is now built up around that back edge, which is where we want it, because all the forces are going this way. We want a nice healthy amount of glue on that back ring there to help hold it in, okay? And you'll see there's a little bit of smearing in there. That smearing will not get in the way of your engine. So I'm going to take this guy, set him down like that, let him dry. So what's next? I imagine we're going to be gluing fins to the main body tube. Yep. Next logical step. So there we go. There's our glue. There's our root edge right there. When we placing it, it looks like it's going to be right on the line where the body tube ends right there. So we'll glue our fins directly flush with the back end of that body tube. I'm going to flip this guy right here over, just because I saw that we were getting some good teardrops forming in the back end there. I wonder if the weight of that first stage will force its way down that coupler. One way to find out. See if it does. So, main body tube here. There's our lines. Remember the middle line here, launch lug. You can barely see my little LL right there, launch lug, right? Everything else is going to be fins. So, get my glue. There's my root edge. I'm going to apply it to my root edge, just like that. And I'm just going to smear it on there. Good, healthy dose of sticky glue. Alright. Now remember, it's going to be flush, so I'm going to take it right to that line, right up the line there. Fail. And that could be because I somewhat rounded that fin when I was sanding it. That's always a possibility. Always a possibility. Okay. Straight enough. I'll do it again. And this time you can actually stand it up. Let's grab our next fin here. Root edge. Okay. Here's that edge. Just want to roll it right down that line. Push till we see glue come out on both sides. Just like so. One more again. A little bit much. Work. There's our launch lug line. So the next line over. Come on there. And that looks good enough. We'll just let them sit. Now, we're not ready yet to put this engine mount into the body tube. Well, actually, I think maybe we are. So I'm looking at it, it's pretty dry. So we have to put glue at two different spots again, right? So we want this thing to be flush, okay? Ends even, right? So I'm going to measure out and see what the distance is where that guy's going to be, so I know how deep to put my glue. So by holding it up here, I'm going to get my pin. The depth is about at my glue line, okay, from here. So if I know that I put the stick into here, it'll be a little deep. So I'm actually going to take and put it up to, I'll split the difference here. Let's see. It's going to be that deep in. Back it up. And bring it down to we'll go with this line right here. It'll be deep enough that way it'll push and get a good smattering of glue on that edge once it's pushed all the way up in there. And then for the, remember this is the back because that's the stocking spacer for the engine. For the front, we'll just do what we did last time and put it right around that edge. But I think we need a little bit more. Just a smidge. Let's see. All right. You just want to go all the way around and inside. And once you get a good ring in there, you can kind of see at that point where you're going with it. Put this guy in there and bring it back up just a bit so we can put some more glue along that inside edge. Don't drop it. Not beneficial. I'm probably off camera right now, but I gotta get a good look down in there. Make sure I've got all my edges done. Good. Alright, so you see that line, how I got the glue right there along that edge. So I'm going to push this guy down in there. Okay. I'm going to help guide the edges of this spacer in so we don't break our engine mount or spacers right off that glue, as it will if it's too tight. So I'm just going to maybe get a little bit of assistance here with my tool, just to, and then same thing, I'm just going to tap it. Oh, don't do that. That was a bad idea. See if we can push down lightly. Not yet. So this is where you gotta be careful. Don't mess anything up. All that hard work you've already done. Now it's starting to participate. Very tight fit. Probably could have sanded it down a little bit more. That's why I like to push the body tube in there and see how much it's going to participate. There we go. Just like that. Just like that. And if you look on the inside, we have a good ring of glue all the way around the inside. Alright. And then we'll add some more glue, so we did the last one, right there along that edge. A little too liberal, I think, maybe. Whatever. It's gonna fly. Mostly straight. I'll record a video of launching it off, and you guys can see for yourselves. As a matter of fact, it is a really nice day outside. Hardly any wind, clear skies. Let me just do it today. So why not? You can see attention to detail. Just about get you anywhere. As long as you have good attention to detail. Pay attention to what you're doing. Cover all your bases. There's a lot of glue. That's alright. Now we'll add our fillets. You see all that glue in there? That's a lot of glue, but this thing's going to be subjected to a lot of forces. So now I'm going to add my fillets just like I did last time. Just like that. It's going to be a lot there. And that's it. Okay, you can see where you got the little teardrop forming right there. Just going to take this guy, turn right back over and let that glue run the other way. Now if you look here, see we got those teardrops, right? We even have some extra glue running down this inside. That's okay, we don't need that inside. We need is the outside. Okay. Just like that. And all that extra glue I can just take and scrape it off. Okay. And let's turn it back over again. Boom. Just let it do its thing. Get this excess glue up. Look at all that glue. Glue management is not a very good day. Okay. Now remember, it hasn't been very long since we stuck those fins to the side of this body tube. That method, when it works really, really well. And I remember being told I have a low battery again. Man, already. So if this thing cuts off suddenly, you'll know why. Low battery. But you're almost done. The next step involves these two little guys. Remember that launch lug? We have to cut our launch lug in half. And each of these little sticks will have half a launch lug. Now, this can get tricky because you have to line these two guys up. Okay? So my recommendation is you extend that line all the way down, so you have the same line, and it's a little bit easier that way. Or if you want to be cheeky about it, you can put this on an actual launch rod and use the launch rod to help keep that line straight, so long as your launch rod is straight. And all you have to do is put the launch lugs on the launch rod, and then put a little bit of glue on the launch lugs, attach them to this guy, and then attach it to the rocket. And then you should have a good long straight line through the launch lugs, because they are going to be geographically separated on your body tube. So don't have to. You could if you want. Keep this thing straight. Don't have to. They recommend that you cut it in half. You can do what you want to. Personally, I will probably end up just using a straw and a little bit of painter's tape, and painter's tape that straw on, and then use that for my launch tube, or launch lug, excuse me. Seems to work a little bit better. But that's roughly it for that. After there, we're going to get into separating things out, which we already did, taping things off, parachutes, and everything else. So from here, we already kind of did this step. All you got to do is put this thing together. And this is the payload section. It's where you can put things. And I'm going to see if I can make a way to where this guy will actually stay in the rocket here, like that, and then here, and then this is what blows off. And see if I can't put a parachute or connect the shock cord through the body tube, through the holes, connect it here, and then I can put something in here that will blow out, be discharged, if you will, from the rocket when the ejection charge goes off. So that's my intent, at least. I imagine I'll probably have to cut this thing down and then glue it into the body tube, and then open this guy up so all those gases that come up will kind of filter through here, and then this will get blown out. But we will try that out another day. So I think we're at a stopping point here, folks. Let's see your shock cord installation. Oh, that's out. Okay, so for the shock cord mount, okay, you have to cut out the small piece up on the front page, glue it together, and then stick it in. And you want to stick it in 1.5 inches with 3.8 centimeters, 38 millimeters. Okay, so the way I measure it is obviously you have to put it on with the pad of your finger, right? You push it down in. So about 1.5 inches on me is about to this knuckle right here. As a matter of fact, let's test that here and see. There's my inches. Let's hit my finger. Yeah, so 2 inches is that knuckle. I actually pushed it down just a little bit further than 1.5 inches, just so I know that it's got plenty of clearance for wadding and the parachute and whatever else. So that's where we're sitting at now. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop this here, and we'll come back when all this stuff is done drying. I'll see you guys in a little bit.